Hi, and welcome to an episode with Morbid Sunshine. I wanted to go through the updates on Gilgo Beach suspect Rex Heuemann. I haven't watched yet the Peacock documentary. I'm trying to get hold of it, or if anybody knows how to without me paying for it, that'd be great. Well, today I'm going to read you this out. The Gilgo Beach serial kill suspect uttered the words, "Good job," to one of his defense attorneys during the critical murder trial hearing taking place this week. Defense attorney Daniela Koyesh was given a high praise by accused murderer Rex Heuemann after she wrapped up her questioning with their expert defense witness Nathaniel Adams, a systems engineer of Ohio-based Forensic Bioinformatic Services Incorporated Newsday reported. Koish has been integral part of the Heuemann legal defense team and has been working alongside lead attorney Michael Brown since Heuemann's arrest in the July of 23. At the Fry hearing held at the Arthur M. Cromartie Complex in Riverhead, Long Island, the defense and the prosecution continued to spar over the science. Defense challenged the DNA evidence that prosecutors say links Heuemann to 6 out of 7 he has been charged with. During the press conference on Wednesday, Brown said the expert witness did well and we're not certain at this time if they will produce another witness for the defense at next month's hearing set for July 17th. Brown noted that the earliest case will go to trial is 2006 and pointed out that Rex complimented the work of Miss Coyce on her work yesterday. He spoke about Rex looking forward to his day in court. He is very anxious to get to trial, but as a patient man and appreciates that we are dotting our I's and crossing our T's, he added. Heuemann, dressed in a dark suit, white button-down shirt, and navy tie, listened intently. He studied the screen that was in front of him as Brown intermittently leaned into the speaker to him as the expert witness testified. For though his wife, Asa Elra, who he was married to for 27 years, and his daughter Victoria Heuemann, 27, did not appear in court on both days of the hearing, Heuemann seemed alert and focused on what his legal team was doing. Sometime at 10:15, the Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney's continued his cross-examination of the defense witness on how he came to the conclusion that the IBD GEM software was unreliable. The IBD GEM software was created by Dr. Richard Green, a professor of biomolecular engineering in University of California in Santa Cruz since 2010, the co-founder of Asteray Forensics. Part of what the computer software does is create a likelihood rations. Is that? In April, Green was the prosecutor's star witness, and gave comprehensive testimony regarding the technological his lab used to identify the DNA on hairs found on some of the Gilgo beach victims. Now, if this is their star witness, that means there's not many witnesses, is there, that have witnessed this man? According to investigators, hairs found on the victims' bodies were traced back to Heuemmann's wife and daughter, and the third unnamed individual. A third unnamed individual. That's news to me. Tyranny questioned Adams on the amount of notes he produced after analysing the 28 terabytes of the data that supported the work of Astrea Lab, and appeared perplexed that only 7 out of 8 pages were generated. Well, I think about it, they may not be naming the DNA because it could be found on any of the victims. I mean, it could be found on the child that was found there, and that would be really sad, that I just don't want to think about how that child died, According to the Converter.com, 28 terabytes of data is equivalent to 229376 gigabytes and is voluminous amount of data. He also asked Adams why he did not review the IBD Gem 2.0 software if it was downloadable and publicly available online. It is only about the science, and the witness today focused on the computer program aspects of the IBD Gem, Coyce told Daily Mail. Some of the data is publicly online, but not all of it is, and there were some materials that District Attorney Office had, and some of it is public and some of it is proprietary. She further explained that the issue here is if it is generally accepted in a scientific community and that it is what it is. We are the first in New York State to address this, she said. In the New York State, the government has the burden of proof that this specific testimony and evidence is generally accepted in forensic scientific community, so it can be introduced and New York State of law, she added. It's brand new. It's up to the judge. This is defense expert Nathaniel Adams, the systems engineer from Forensic Bioinformatics Service. Gosh, his toupee's looking really rough in it. Rex looks straight ahead as his legal team, Brown and Daniel Coyce, prepare their notes during Frey hearing on Wednesday. Rex Heuemmann's legal team attorney Michael Brown and Coyce. During Tuesday's testimony, Tyranny appeared to mock Adams and questioned his credibility during the grueling 2-hour cross-examination and his profligacy in his field. He took part his 10-page CV asking him why it took nearly 10 years for him to obtain his college degrees. The 38-year-old Adams, who has an associate's degree in computer information systems and a bachelor degree in computer science, said he was still working on obtaining his master's degree and was also working towards his master's thesis. Adams explained that part of the delay in his master's thesis was that he changed the topic and that it went beyond just probabilistic genotyping, Jesus, and that he was in a final stage of completion. The DA pointed out that Dr. Green went through the vigorous doctorate program, which Adams agreed, but Tierney seemed amused by some degree that he was judging Green's work. Brown pointed out that their expert witness did well. I'll read that next one. I wonder if he does have that element to mystery of the Zodiac Killer. It would make sense with Rex Heuemann to be the suspect in that case. There was never anybody found in the Zodiac murders. And it could be worth going over that again for the prosecution. You don't have to have a PhD and you don't have to have a master's in order to explain the analysis and evaluation. What the prosecution has lacked any verification or validation of this product and this potential science that the Astria folks want to introduce. None of their witnesses are able to introduce any evidence about the validation and verification of our witness confirmed and corroborated that it is not there. He added, quite frankly, there is no generally acceptance in the realm or community of the scientific community, and hopefully the judge agrees with that. Brown said in part that the biggest thing that the prosecution wants to do is generate this likelihood ratio and throw that in the front of the jury. They pointed out that during Green's testimony, he didn't even know the name of his own program, and also took notes that his lab, Astria Labs, is not a certifiable lab. How can the prosecution, claim it is generally acceptable in the scientific community? You can't, he said. When Brown was asked what his game plan is if the evidence is ruled admissible and if the whole genome sequencing is precluded, his response is that they will take it one step at a time. He has maintained his innocence from the day one, and he wants his trial and is looking forward to his trial. And we are going to keep going, Brown said. We are going to suppress evidence that is unconstitutionally obtained or illegally until we get to the point to try the case, he said. The documentary reveals never before heard admissions from the Heuemann's family and of a man accused of living a double life. In a bombshell twist, Victoria admits to producers that she believes her father most likely committed the murders, though her mother steadfastly defends her ex-husband's innocence. That worries me. She came to her own conclusion after she reviewed the facts that were available on the case and what was explained to her. She shared the revelation with producers a week before the series launched. Convenient. Though she did not speak about the documentary, it was revealed in statements at the end of the final episode. Here's a picture of him and Elsa, I think. Asa. Gilgo Beach serial kill suspect Rex Heuemann and his wife Asa Alarup together on their wedding day in 1995. Asa did not attend the Fry hearing this week. Heuemann has been charged with the murders of 7 women during a 2-decade reign of horror between 1993 and 2011. All the victims were sex workers not all of them. All the victims who vanished before their remains were found, and it doesn't matter what they were, what their profession was. You wouldn't say it's just bonkers. Beach, as well as in other remote spots on Long Island. Since his arrest, prosecutors have unveiled a trove of evidence, including hairs allegedly belonging to Heuemann and his family members found on some of the victims. Cell phone data allegedly placing him in contact with them, and a chilling planning document in which allegedly outlines his killing in detail. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Fears that a serial killer or killers were operating on Long Island began in May of 2010, when a 24-year-old sex worker, Shannon Gilbert, disappeared in strange circumstances one night. During the search Gilbert that December, officers found the body of Melissa Bartholomew, 22, in the marshes of Gilgo Beach. With the lost victims. It's nice they've put a picture of all of them. I'll go through them all for you, in case you've not known. These are the 4 that were found together. And it's Melissa Bartholomew, 24, Amber Costello, 27, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, 25, and Megan Waterman, 22, were known as the 4 Gilgo 4. Valerie Mack disappeared in 2000 in part, and parts of her body were discovered in Long Island that November. Jessica Taylor vanished in 2003, and some of her remains were found in Manorville that year. Sandra Costello was murdered in 1993, making her the earliest known victim. Karen Vergatta's remains were identified in 2023. Heuemann has not been charged in connection to her death yet. Tanya Denise Jackson and Tatiana Marie Dykes, who's the daughter of Tanya, which is completely sad and so lonely. Within days, 3 more bodies, Amber Costello, 27, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, 25, and Megan Waterman, 22, have been found and named the Gilgo 4. Over the following months, the remains of 7 other girls were found. Earlier this year, Tanya Denise Jackson, 26, who was known as Peaches, and her 2-year-old daughter Tatiana were identified this year. Yeah, it's pretty sad about the baby. Oh, she's so cute. Just adorable, and you can tell she was so looked after her. What happened that day? What made Tanya go all the way out to Long Beach? Who was she meeting? Why was she meeting people there with a child that day? What was she promised? You also heard an affidavit of a woman who said in '96 who took Karen Vergata in a car with her boyfriend, who was a policeman, took Karen, who'd just been released from jail, to Rex Heuemmann's house. And apparently he left her there, running around naked, screaming for help. Left her there. Amber Costello's roommate also identified Heumann as an ogre and his green avalanche car, which in the end took the detectives only 6 weeks to then find Heumann and charge him. So it was only 6 weeks with new force who took over in 2003, and then they caught Rex Heumann, for anybody on the who's not aware of that. Let's read about the Gilgo Beach DNA expert ties to the killer, the Zodiac killer, and the notorious cold cases revealed. What do you think? Definitely round the eyes. He wears some type of glasses, doesn't he? Does have a look about him of him, I'll be honest, to me. Let's take a picture of that. Dawn Olangnik. After 40 years, Princess Doe was identified as Dawn Orlick, now a 17-year-old teen from Long Island, who found dead in a cemetery in New Jersey in 1982. And the victim's tooth and eyelash were admitted to Astria Forensics for DNA extracting, which led to her identity well as her suspected killer. Astra Forensics also helped in 1982 case of a 9-year-old girl, Darrell Johnson, pictured here, Idaho, who was kidnapped and murdered. Astra Forensic Dr. Green, pictured here. He looks totally different, doesn't he, with the beard and everything. Testified about the technology used to tie Heumann to the killings. Interesting. Melissa Bartholomew, Amber Costello, Megan Waterman. That's it. Valerie Mack disappeared in 2000 and discovered in November of 2000. Discovered in that November. Jessica Taylor vanished 2003. Some of her remains were found in Manville that year. Sandra Costello was murdered in 93 and making her the earliest known victim. Karen Vergotta remains were identified in 2023. Heuemann has not been charged in the connection of her death yet, but she was right next to these girls. Asa Alarapan attorney Macedonio is seen inside the courthouse on Wednesday. Oh, that's the day when they all dressed up as clowns. Okay, let's read on. The DNA experts at the centre of the Gilgo beach killer case has helped solve several notorious murderers and cracked the mystery at the heart of the infamous Zodiac killer case on the call heard Wednesday. Rex Heuemann returned to the Arthur Comarty Criminal Courthouse in Riverhead, Long Island, Wednesday. This was a month or two ago, 3 months ago, to hear the second day of testimony in the expert of Dr. Green. Green, who has worked as a professor in biomolecular engineering in the University of California in Santa Cruz since 2010, used technology in his lab Astria Forensics for identify the DNA on the hairs found on some of the Gilgo Beach girls' victims. According to investigators, hairs found on the victims' bodies were traced back to Heuemann's wife Asa Alarup and daughter Victoria, a third unnamed individual. I think it's his ex-wife or somebody who lived at the house. During Wednesday hearing, Green testified about the string of other examples where his DNA lab and University of California and Santa Cruz or his company Astria Forensics had helped solve the cold cases and unsolved murders. He told the court how he was once contacted at his university lab to assist in the Zodiac killer investigation to try to extract DNA from some letters believed to have been sent by the killer. Letters have been sent to a newspaper and a victim's father in connection to the 1996 murder of Sherry Bo Bates in Riverside, California. They wanted to know who sent the letter, he said. Suspect serial killer Rex Heuemann is led into the courtroom in shackles and handcuffs. The DNA expert in Rex Heuemann's case revealed he had previously worked on the Zodiac killer. His flyer was distributed by San Francisco Police Department in October of '69. Gives me a feeling that I don't know. Green testified that the lab managed to extract DNA from a letter and used it to develop DNA profile, which then identified the person who wrote the letter. Oh wow. The individual confessed to writing the letter, but Investigators determined he was too young at the time to have been the Zodiac killer, Green said. Green said that the person was just 13, whose motivation was seeking attention. The prosecution went to present the string of newspaper clippings of cold cases being solved thanks to the least imparted DNA analysis carried out by Green and one of his labs. Heuemmann's defense attorney Michael Brown objected to the prosecution entering the newspaper clippings as evidence, claiming it was prejudicial. Judge Timothy Mazzelli called a sidebar where the prosecution included Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney, and the defence gathered to argue over the matter. Heuemann, dressed in a dark suit with a powder blue shirt and a pink tie, sat at the defence table alone, watching intensely. The judge sided with the prosecution and overruled the objection. Molly Elizabeth Honeychurch and her daughters, Mary Elizabeth Vaughan and Sarah Marie McWaters, were named as 3 of the 4 victims in the Bear Brooks murders. After 40 years, Princess Doe was identified as Dawn Alanick, a 14-year-old teen from Long Island, who was found dead in a cemetery in New Jersey in 1982. The victim's tooth and eyelash were submitted to forensics for DNA extraction, which led to her identity as well as her suspected killer. Green went on to describe his work of the infamous Bear Brooks murders, where 4 female victims were found in Bear Brooks State Park in Allenstown, New Hampshire, 2 in 1985 and 2 in 2000. The victims are believed to have been killed in the late 70s or early 80s. The FBI contacted Green's research lab in California to help in identifying them. He testified, "Many of the victims' remains were badly decomposed," he said, "and some found in barrels." Green and his lab used tissue and hair from the victims to generate DNA profile, and ultimately they identified 3 of the 4 victims decades after they were killed. Another case that was of Dawn Alanick, also known as Princess Doe, a 17-year-old girl from Long Island, who was found dead in a cemetery in New Jersey. Her case went cold for 40 years in 2002 when she was identified. The victim's tooth and eyelash were submitted, and that's how they identified her. Astroforensic has helped in 1982 in the case of 9-year-old girl Darrell Lynn Johnson of Camden, Idaho, who was kidnapped and murdered. Charles Vane was wrongly convicted of Johnson's killing, but always claimed his innocence. Oh, God. New DNA testing later led to his conviction being overturned and the case going unsolved. Green explained that he was contacted by the FBI to help solve the case. There was not much forensic evidence in the case, but some hairs were found on the victim's underwear. Green was asked to develop a genotype file that could be used to investigative genetic genealogists who develop leads. After a suspect was identified, he was sent a DNA sample to compare the DNA profile on the hair found on the victim. It was this case that led to Green to create the IBD gem, a software program that compares DNA from a known sample to an unknown sample. That's amazing, isn't it? Green said that he ran an IBDG gem software on the suspect and the brother in Johnson's case, which led to David Dalrymple, 66. In 2002, Green was an expert witness in the case that led to the conviction of Dalrymple. Okay. What was that little girl's second name? I mean, it's a bit strange how they have similar sort of second names, sort of similar naming, and Green was an expert witness. His company also does a lot of work with the National Centre of Missing People and Exploited Children, he testified. During a combative cross-examination, Heuemmann's defense attorney hit Green with the fact that the case in Idaho is the only time his DNA analysis has been used in a criminal court case. Literally one court out of 50 states have accepted your product, he said. Brown grilled Green over whether the DNA technology is widely accepted by the scientific community. Brown pushed that something being accepted by scientific community might not be the same as being accepted in a criminal court. At that point, the judge scolded Brown, saying, "Isn't that my decision to make?" Judge went on to make it clear that whether or not it is accepted in his courtroom in New York will be his decision. Heuemmann's legal team is seeking to sow the doubts in the DNA technology used in the case, branding it magic that has never been used before in a criminal case in New York. He is asking the judge to throw out the DNA evidence allegedly tying Heuemann to the murders. It'd be stupid to do that, wouldn't it, now?
Before you guys go, I'm going to just go like this. Wait a minute. Mike, I'm going to go here. He likes to push people. Why was it important for the families to be here? It's important for the family to be here and obtain whatever type of closure they're going to get out of this case. Asa and Victoria, their DNA is allegedly found on some of the victims' bodies. After watching the Netflix series, which came out last week, it raises more concerns and questions about how this investigation was conducted and the procedures that were employed to extract that data. The testing that's going on there, that's for the...
He does look like Alaric, doesn't he? It's very odd. Spooky ass house. When you see those paintings of that lady, it reminds me of that marsh. It just does. Cross-examination will continue Thursday morning in Revard. The defence is then expected to call some expert witnesses through the judge issues a ruling on the matter. So yeah, that's much as I've know up to date right now. For more information, please subscribe, smidge the like button, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye for now. Bye bye.